Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we got something kind of special for you. It's a game in the Mogami taken from our April 2023 members stream. All right, so this is kind of an example of what World of Warships Legends could be if you're in a game with the vast majority of players that kind of at least understand the basics. Okay, we got a Domination mode Northern Waters game here. Looking at the roster there, I recognize at least probably 15 or so of those names. It's conceivable everybody in this game is a channel member. How the member streams work, basically, it's each month I do a stream. It's only viewable by channel supporting members. And these are, dedicated viewers, to be sure. All right, so does that make everybody playing the game pro level players? No, not necessarily, although there are certainly very good players in this game. Some might even be better than me. However, generally what we see during these games is at least a baseline understanding of, okay, well, we're trying to win the game. That's the starting point. That's not something you typically see in your normal random game, but people kind of generally understand what we're doing. We're attacking the caps here. We're trying to defend the caps. They're paying attention to the score at the top, and we're not necessarily killing each other. And oh, by the way, everybody moves forward when the game begins. Amazing. You don't see that every day either. So already we're noticing some differences, but as the game progresses, we'll kind of see exactly how the game looks when it's being played with strategy in mind by the majority of the players. All right, so we're spawned on the seaside here. We got a carrier per and one destroyer per side. We got a Friesland, they got a Xin Yang, a couple of very good destroyers. Usually as an opening move for the Mogami, I'll just kind of try and move horizontally, moving forward a little bit, but just trying to establish, okay, first off, what's everybody doing, and then what can we do in this position? We do have our destroyer. You can see on the screen there, 2 kilometers to the north of me, the Friesland moving in to the cap. All right, so the Friesland can actually defend itself pretty well, especially if it's set up for anti-air, but it can kind of fend off that carrier. So part of my role here, I mean, obviously we have one destroyer, and we're trying to support that destroyer moving into the cap, capturing the cap, and then potentially defending the cap. But depending on, all right, if it's a destroyer, like a Japanese destroyer, typically will have poor AA or something along those lines. Maybe we want to stay a little bit closer to it. That's a possibility. Not necessarily a play we'd always commit to, but it's something we would think about at least. Here, not as concerned, right? The Friesland can handle itself. But what we are doing here is we're kind of setting up towards the back, not moving backwards. We're not trying to get to the 10 line or anything, but we're behind the cap with the ability to shoot into it. And we're trying to make life uncomfortable for these guys that are attempting to attack the sea cap. You can see on A, we do have a cruiser to the south of the big island there, attempting to capture the base as well. And we got about 4 ships over there versus 2 known ships. So what I want you to kind of focus on when we're looking at the map throughout this game is the position of the ships in general. And in general, both teams are going to try and occupy the equator of the map, which is basically the line that runs through the A and C caps. 1 or 2 squares north or south of that. There's a ship or 2 that's behind that. But in general, that's kind of the idea, right? We establish map control by moving the ships physically into a position. All the ships in the game get more dangerous in their own way the closer they are to things. Now, if a Mogami, for instance, is going to rush a battleship or something along those lines, it's not going to last very long, right? So we want to be close enough that we can project power onto these guys, influence their behavior, or even reduce their HP to 0, removing them from the game. But we're trying to affect these guys' position. All right, so we do have full control of C currently. We are generating points, and you can see currently the lead is about, 20, 30 points, whatever it is. And now red is moving into A. You can see the destroyer was seen over there. They got the battleship moving forward. They got cruiser supporting. They got another cruiser back there. So they've kind of pushed B out of there. Again, they're trying to occupy the central parts of the map physically, imposing their will on these and forcing blue out of the cap. So when they fully capture A, the scoring in the background will at that point be frozen, right? Both teams have their home cap, which has been generating 36 points a minute since the game began. We got C, which likewise generates the same amount of income, and now they've captured A. So the background scoring's frozen. We just lost 85 points worth of points on that cruiser, and you can see they're up 49 points to be exact, but roughly 50 points. So if we sink an identical 85 point cruiser, we would be up by 25 points or whatever it is. Okay, so that's basically where the scoring's at this point in time. Friesland continues to occupy C, just kind of projecting power there, and also trying to provide spotting. Now, what I'm trying to be careful of here is not moving too far north. We're trying to keep an eye on the spotting aspect of our own ship as well. Are we being detected or not? But we don't want to get so close that if all of a sudden we're seeing here these 4 or 5 ships on the side of the map, and the center of the map can all of a sudden shoot at us in tandem, right? If they're all shooting at us from different angles, we're going to find ourselves in a position where we cannot defend from all those incoming shots, and one of them is going to hit us in the side, ending the game. Suzuya, also a very dangerous ship, and I'll just point out here, Squirrel in the Suzuya, without saying who wins the game or not, would have the highest score if they win the game. I believe I get the highest score on our team, but very well played game there. The Suzuya, basically a Mogami, but with a higher damage per minute output, right? Much faster firing, and a very dangerous ship. So keeping an eye on him, of course. Lenin to the 90-degree position, and then to the north of us, the other battleship, the Kansas, I believe there. So a little bit tricky. We always got to be keeping an eye on who's targeting us, and currently we have one ship targeting us. Carrier providing the spotting currently, so we're going to go ahead and hopefully shoot down that remaining plane. And there it goes, and we do drop spot immediately. So utilizing the islands, being very careful here. Again, these aren't your average players who are just going to be focusing one battleship for the duration of the match. These guys are all looking at opportunities and seeing what makes sense. All right, so Kansas and Lenin kind of combining now to aggressively put pressure on the sea cap. Looking on the A side, we still have the destroyer unseen. They do have one red cruiser. We got 3, looks like, cruisers over there. So on paper, at least, we should win that fight sooner or later. And then hopefully we can grab A, which would unfreeze that background scoring and begin to increase our lead in the background. Now, Lenin's a very hard ship for us to damage here with the HE attacks. We'll get a little bit of damage here and there, but not a lot of superstructure like, say, the Kansas, for instance, which we would be getting a lot more raw damage. So we're just doing what we can here, trying to, number one, preserve our own life, but number two, just pressure these guys, right? Ideally, they want to move into C, which they have now achieved, which is freezing our score there. So the situation as it stands at the moment, 2 points or 2 caps generating points, 36 points per minute for red team, 1 cap D generating points for blue. We also control C, but it is contested, so that one's not currently generating points. So the background lead for that red team, as long as those ships are on C, they're going to be gaining about 36 points every minute in the background. Again, as ships die here and there, the score goes up and down, but the background score doesn't wildly swing like that. Those points passively accrue throughout the game, and the longer that the situation persists, the harder the deficit for our team to overcome. A side, they did eliminate the cruiser over there. They do have another one kiting to the north of A. Need to get on A as quick as possible, right? We need to begin to make up some of these points. You can see we're up a ship here. We're up 100 points. And it looks like we're up basically a full battleship. So the score in the background was briefly tied, and now their lead is actually beginning to increase a little bit. So very close situation here. Zen Yang trying to disengage. He's getting spotted. He's getting torped or whatever. We fire there. It looks like he's going to hit the beach. So we launch some torps there just in case he's kind of feeling stuck. Okay, I got the smoke down. I can kind of defend myself here for a little bit. But the longer he's in that cloud, those torps may actually land a lucky strike on him. All right, Kansas again moving in here. We got our Friesland doing a good job spotting, which is providing these shots here, because you can see we're not spotted. We're not taking return fire every time we pull the trigger. That's outgoing potential damage that's not being reciprocated, right? And that's ideally, no matter the ship, if we're in a purely damage trading scenario, anytime we can get a free shot, where we're not taking return fire, that's a bonus. All right, we got 2 guys targeting us now. Time to move. And they're about to flip C. All right, so Kansas coming around here. We don't want to get whacked by that thing. That could be game ending. Oh, boy. Takes us down to about half health. Xin Yang threads the needle, but the torps there. We do have some torps coming through the Kansas. We'll see if he eats one of those. But ideally, we want to get this Xin Yang down here, because once that ship is gone, if possible, it's going to make it a lot harder for these guys to control the bases, right? Destroyer is harder to see. They, of course, can get onto those caps undetected, flip the base, or at least freeze the scoring. Much easier than, say, a Kansas, which is going to be spotted much further distance away. So, again, very tight game here. We're only down by 5. C's again frozen. We do have a 2-cap lead at this point to 1. So now our background lead is actually increasing here. And you can see how quickly the lead's going back and forth here. Friesland's in the smoke, shooting out there. It doesn't look like he's detected yet. He is getting pressed a little bit. We do get the Kansas off there. But that's going to open up a little bit of breathing room for that Friesland. A, once again, under control here. But the remaining cruiser there, I believe it's a Carnot, he's moving into position to challenge that. So he's kind of forcing off our cruiser there. You can see him on the right-hand side of the screen. Trading damage, we're up damage here. But my thinking is, okay, we want to continue to support C, even flip that cap if possible. But what we want to do is use our position. We're close enough to support the side anyways. Let's see if we can take this guy out. That's going to free up the western side of the map. That'll remove the threats to that cap, basically, at least in the short to medium term, and there's only 4 minutes left in the game at this point in time. So it's going to be difficult for them to position anyone to challenge that cap. So if we can kill the Carnot, basically we take 4 times 36. We're talking about 150 points or whatever between now and the end of the game if we can get rid of him relatively quickly. So that's the goal here. Got to be careful. We are getting spotted, of course, by the Carnot since we're shooting directly at him. He's in our range. The plane would also probably be spotting us. Shot a little behind him, but we do get lucky with a fire there. And we need to begin to power up the engine and begin to dodge. Carnot on the ropes, and he's going to go down with the fire there. And we're just kind of dodging. Oop, there's an incoming shot there. Whew, all right. 10,000, 13,000 health left. Not a lot to spare. All right, so Friesland using his offensive opportunities in that smoke. As long as people are spotting for him, he can shoot. That's great play. 3 caps to 1. And people are even suggesting move into B. But we're losing ships. We lost the Veneto. We got 0 battleships, 2 cruisers, 1 destroyer. Each side, of course, is a carrier. They're down to their destroyer and cruisers. What's this you're saying? We're, what is this, 12 minutes into the game and both destroyers are still alive? What the hell is going on? Yeah, it's tough to believe. Not something you see every day. But just a great example of what this game could be, right? These destroyers are out there. They're trying to counter each other. They're trying to spot. They're trying to attack the caps. They're trying to support the caps. And these are all plays that don't involve rushing the British light cruiser that can one-shot them and take them off the board in less than 2 seconds. Very different than your normal state of play. So excellent destroyer play there. We do lose the Friesland finally. And we're down to about 85-point lead, give or take, whatever it is. All right, so once again, A clear. We do have the carrier moving over there. He's recognizing the opportunity to become safe, so he's just going to move into A. That'll make sure nobody gets a line of sight on him, even if that destroyer spots him. Well, then at least these other ships over here, the cruiser in particular, Suzuya, won't have shots on him. So I'm trying to move into a position to shoot C here, but I'm looking at these torps. The torps were spotted early by the plane, so we had a while to look at them. And I'm thinking, well, if I can rush out there, maybe we can catch the broadside. Maybe we can hit him with AP. But the torps, the zoning torps turned me off, all right, because we knew they were coming. We said to ourselves, it's too risky if I pull out there to try and get a shot. Maybe the shot will work, maybe not. But I'm putting myself at risk. If we eat one of those torps, game over. I did get a shot on the destroyer a moment ago, went ahead and take it. And you've been seeing throughout this game, we're just throwing torps out. Basically on reload, we'll flip the ship around whenever we can, get them out there. Potential damage, making the area that we're trying to control or project power in this case C, more dangerous for them to occupy. Of course, they got plenty of planes flying around, so they're probably spotting these torps quite early as well, like we did a moment ago. But just making it more and more difficult. All right, so even though we've only had one torpedo actually hit, that's still worthy to do that. And that's kind of why I like these Japanese cruisers, because the torps come off the rear like this. We can kind of kite away, dodge these shots, and do what we can do with the main guns while we're just kind of throwing the torps out the rear of the ship and muddying the waters. All right, so 40 seconds at this point in time. We're up over 100 points, which is the magic number, right? Battleships worth 100, carriers 110 if they sink that. At this point in time, we would actually lose by 1 if they sunk the carrier. But they could sink me, they could sink the other cruiser, and we would still win. Can't sink us both. If they got us both, we would lose the game here. So we're just saying, come on now, be cautious. And that's the Ibuki, so I don't think he's part of our Tier 7 crew that we got in this game. One of the few random players, but he's doing a good job as well. And you can see we're going to go ahead and win on score. So, I mean, wasn't like an extraordinary game, but it was a good example of what this game could be when the people playing it at least know what they're doing, which makes a huge difference. So that's a look at the Mogami for you guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you. We'll see y'all in our face.